千里之行，始于足下。A journey of 1,000 miles begins beneath the feet. We now gather in the Tao to travel the journey together. Welcome to Tao Talks with Eric Lin, where we take a deep dive into the Tao Te Ching by Lao Tzu. I would like to extend a warm welcome to you. Thank you for joining us. I would like to invite you to center your thoughts and direct your attention to this moment in time, to the here and now, to be fully present and mindfully aware as we all ready ourselves for this sacred process in the Tao with one another. So the sages hold to the one. We have seen the example of the sages as the one standard for the world can be expressed in the four parts that we have just gone through. Two of them are internal and the other two are external, as I mentioned. Let's start with the internal. So the first one, without flaunting themselves and so are seen clearly, to flaunt oneself is all about arrogant thoughts, plus the contrivance to show off. So it's internal leading to external. It begins with that internal thought, like as an example, a fitness buff wearing a shirt that is obviously too tight. Why? Because, well, look at these arms. Even when an arrogant person says nothing, he may hog the spotlight, assume a higher profile, or both, all for the purpose of being seen. Again, it starts with that internal purpose. They may harbor this internal conviction of certitude, like, I know better. I know more than they do. They know nothing. They are all fools, etc. I alone am the genius among them. This inner presumption prevents one from using the soft approach of the Tao to be flexible, to seek alternative paths to a goal. The thinking goes something like this. I am right. They are wrong. Why should I budge? They should move out of my way. This becomes a self-imposed obstacle that is very easy for other people to see, but very difficult for that person to overcome. So that is the internal. It has to do with the thought that gives rise to flaunting, and the thought that leads to presumptuous internal conviction of certitude. Now let's switch our attention to the external manifestations. So the other two form the external without praising themselves, without boasting about themselves. These all come from interactions with people. When you praise yourself, you are telling other people about how great you are. It is all about externalizing the ego, expressing that ego through talking about the self. As we often see in real life, this becomes obvious when the arrogant ones engage in that self-praise, that public boasting. It becomes not just obvious, but painfully obvious. However, chances are They, the ones who engage in the boasting and the self-praise, they do not realize it is perceived in that extremely negative light. Far from respecting or revering them, people may find them repulsive instead. The urge to boast and praise oneself, they can go beyond words. It is also possible that the arrogant person will try to get other people to talk about them in a favorable light. So in the yin and yang symbol, what we have in this symbol to the left part of it, that is the external visible side. It is the overt. And then on the right-hand side, it is the internal, unseen, the covert side of the complementary duality. So we link the internal to the right side, and we link the external to the left side. So there is a story that illustrates this idea. Once upon a time, in ancient China, there was a Tao teacher who taught a group of students. He was respected by his students, who regarded him as a virtuous master. One day, he was sitting in meditation while 3 of his students stood away from him. They looked at him with admiration and talked among themselves, speaking in whispers. The first student said, "Our master's knowledge is vast, and his insights into the ancient teachings are without equal." "I agree," the second student nodded. "I am amazed by his wisdom." The third student added, "Not only that, but I can also see great depth in his spiritual cultivation." "True," the first student said, "He is always patient and never frantic." They paused for a moment, and their teacher suddenly spoke up. He said, with one eye open to stare at them, he asked them, "Why has none of you mentioned my humility?" The Tao. In this story, we can see that appearance can be deceiving. Someone who appears to be a master may not actually have the qualities of a real master. In Tao Te Ching 30:38, Lao Tzu writes, "High virtue is not virtuous. Therefore, it has virtue. Low virtue never loses virtue. Therefore, it has no virtue." What Lao Tzu is expressing is that the truly virtuous would not think of themselves as virtuous. The truly humble would not think of themselves as humble. To such people, the truly virtuous, truly humble, there is always room for improvement. And this story can apply to our present world situations as well. We do have many people who claim to be masters, who teach spirituality, but the truth about them will be seen in their actions rather than their claims. So, because of all this, Lao Tzu writes, "Therefore, the sages hold to the One as an example for the world. When they embrace the oneness of the Tao, it would not even occur to them to flaunt, to presume, to self-praise, to boast. And that's how you can tell that these are genuine, authentic sages among us. Our meeting has come to an end, but the journey continues on. Until next time, may the Tao fill you with peace and happiness.